Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk Azure podcast with your host Sam Foote.
And Armstrong.
If you're new here, we're a pair of Azure and Microsoft 365 focused IT security professionals. It's episode 10 of season 6. Alan and I had a discussion around the new releases in March. Here are a few things that we covered. Key Microsoft Entra, Intune and Defender XDR features, including updates and announcements. Azure changes, new features and also retirements. We've noticed that a large number of you aren't subscribed. If you do enjoy our podcast, please do consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to us for you to show your support to the show. It's a really great episode, so let's get started. Hey Alan, how are you doing this week?
Hey Sam, I'm not doing too bad. How about you?
Yeah, not doing too bad as well. You said that quite hesitantly. I'm not doing too bad.
I moved last week, moved house, so I'm still in the process of sorting things out. So that's why we kind of left it last week for an episode.
Yeah, I think it might have been the straw that broke the camel's back, probably, right? Just prioritizing an episode. So yeah, you obviously had a nice chilled and relaxed week last week, didn't you, Alan?
Yeah, absolutely. Just chilling on a beach somewhere. I wish.
Nice.
How about you?
Yeah, not really. Not bad weeks, to be totally honest with you. I don't know what it is, but sometimes when you're at work, you get like loads of little bits that you can't like complete, if that makes sense, right? Like you've got loads of things like projects hanging around and bits and bobs. I managed to clear loads of stuff like earlier this week, so it was like, I don't know, my to-do list. Like there were items on my to-do list that had been on there for ages, just because of just these random blockers, and I cleared a lot of it. And I was like, oh, well, what am I going to do now then? Basically, so that was really good. Yeah, and I've just been, I don't know, I've been buying too many Zigbee devices at the moment, to be totally honest with you. So yeah, my home lab needs to stop growing because it's just, I don't know, it's just getting out of control, to be totally honest with you. But it's fun. Probably just not good for my power bill. It was quite funny actually, because I've got a new NAS enclosure, and I'd put Proxmox on it to run like a mini Kubernetes cluster. And it's like absolutely hammering the CPU of this NAS, right? Because it's quite a low power NAS. And I came up to my office to record this podcast tonight, and I could hear this like whirring fan sound, basically. And the poor like single like 120 volt fan that's in this NAS enclosure is doing a good job. I've checked the temperature sensors and it's all good, but yeah, it's
working
definitely
hard.
feeling. Yeah, exactly. I'm getting good value for money out of that silicon. That's for sure. So yeah, that's pretty funny, to be totally honest with you.
No, that's cool. I've got to sort all of my networking and smart automation, I think, in my house, new house. So.
Yeah, you're where I was a year ago.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, I still haven't cracked it. There's always like, I don't know, 10 different things I could be doing. So
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Right, what are we doing? What are we doing this week, Alan? I think it's news for March, isn't it? This week.
Yep. So it's news for March. Excuse me. Yep. We're only doing March, even though Microsoft Secure was this week. So that mini event then. So yeah, we're just going to talk about the stuff in March, and maybe we'll probably dive into Microsoft Secure in a couple of weeks' time, I expect, once we can digest what came out of it. Because I think it was quite a fair bit of AI security copilot stuff coming out of it.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So do you wanna kick us off, Alan?
Yeah, sure. Normally start with. So yeah, let's start with. I was going to say Defender for Endpoint, but there wasn't anything in March. There's something in April, which actually is quite cool, but we're not there yet. It's like a teaser always, isn't it? Defender XDR, yeah. So March. There's some more descriptions. Descriptions have been moved within the incident page. They're now displayed after the incident details. I'm guessing the description, the actual detail is more important than the description of the incident, so that kind of makes sense. 365 alert policies can now only be managed in the Defender XDR portal. So that is so I'm guessing that's more around. It says 365 alerts. I'm guessing that means more Defender for Office side of things for that. You can now link threat analytics reports when setting up custom detections now as well. So some minor things in there. Again, there's probably quite a fair bit in April because of Microsoft Secure. Right, Defender for Office. So within Defender for Office, the user-reported messages by third-party add-ins can now be sent to Microsoft for analysis. So previously, I'm guessing that the reporting went to third-party tools, and then that was the end of it, in effect. So now they can now be routed to the analysis. So I'm guessing it's based on the tools themselves being able to hook into an API somewhere. So that's quite good. Defender for Identity. Okay, so in March they brought out a new part of the not necessarily assets, but under Defender for Identity Blade in the Defender XDR portal. Lots of defenders in that sentence. They brought out a new service account discovery page. So if you've got it, you've got Defender for Identity onboarded for your domain controllers, you can now start seeing identifying group managed service accounts, and user accounts operating as service accounts. So non-human identities now being identified and discovered. So yeah, I think that's quite good to be able to start seeing that side of things. There is now some new health issues issue for cases when sensors running on VMware have network connectivity mismatch. So it looks like it's actually doing some checks now within the hypervisor or the virtual machine configuration now to make sure that it's configured correctly, which looks like it's not a bad thing at all. We've got enhanced identity inventory. So under the assets where identities are, we now have consolidated views of identities across Active Directory and Entra ID. So rather than maybe seeing two identities for the user, we now see a single one, including identity types and the user information. And cloud application accounts, displaying a list of cloud application accounts, including those applications, connectors, and third-party sources. So coming from Defender for Cloud Apps. So where you've got identities in those ones as well. And then finally, they've got a new LDAP query event added to the identity query events table in the advanced hunting. So again, be able to see some more information when hunting. So quite a bit for Defender for Identity there, because normally doesn't get too much change, but I think it's starting to what's the word? Expand its scope away, not just away from, but to include more areas now than just Active Directory. Trying to bring in some of the identity protection stuff kind of under its hood, I guess. It kind of feels like anyway. Right, Defender for Cloud Apps. So again, that kind of ties into the cloud applications and the identities. They're all being merged into those inventories. So instead of having separate portals or separate sections for it, they're bringing it all into one place. Role-based access control scoping for behaviors is in preview. So be able to do the unified RBAC around that, so you can just see behavior analytics sort of information in the advanced hunting. So again, bringing in or moving the RBAC for Defender for Cloud apps into the unified RBAC. And that was those bits. Entra. Okay, so there was an announcement in March that effect from the 1st of April, Microsoft Entra Permissions Management, MEPM, will no longer be available for sale and for new enterprise agreements or direct customers.
What?
Yeah.
What? That's
So
crazy.
any customers that have currently got it.
Well, that's probably the question, Alan, isn't it?
Yes. But if in effect of 1st of October 2025, it will be fully retired and discontinued support. It will be until customers will keep access until the 30th of September. So, yeah. So you got till then to move to another product. Some of that functionality has some high-level functionality of CIEM sort of capability is in Defender CSPM, in Defender for Cloud. So there is some stuff there that you can sort of leverage. But Microsoft have partnered with Delinea to provide an alternative solution, which is a privileged control for cloud entitlements, PCCE. So yeah, if you are using that today, that's potentially somewhere else you can go that they're partnering with. So that's quite a big one there.
Yeah, well, it's
generally available.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just has it. I don't know when. Can you remember when they bought? What was it before? Cloud Knox.
Cloud Knox.
Yeah. Well, when did they buy that? That wasn't that long ago, was it?
No, 2 maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I say that seems long, but it's not from a product that Microsoft purchases.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, crazy. Well, considering they're just gonna retire it, because that was not cheap, was it?
No.
So, yeah, very.
No, I guess they probably built some of the capability into Defender CSPM, and probably made people found more value in that than purchasing it. We don't know.
No, yeah, and that, and maybe, yeah, maybe in some respect that did show where its correct place was and how in depth it really needed to be for quotes the vast majority of customers, right? Because the insights that you get from CSPM are a lot easier to attain than Entra Permissions Management, right? So it's just you just enable it, right?
It's a difficult one as well with things like that, because some users may have used it once, got the lay of the land, fixed it, and then turned it off.
Yeah, true.
And then done it later. Because we always say the initial discovery is always the worst one. Then you fix it. Don't get me wrong. It will. Issues will continue to happen. Misconfiguration will happen, and you need to catch it early. But
yeah, because I suppose the protective workload element of that is like governance, isn't it? Right. It's not like it's not like an extension to, I don't know, CSPM, where you've got malware scanning on storage accounts, which is like real time, right? I can't think of a real time element to it, I suppose, that isn't covered by other tooling. Could be covered by other tooling that Microsoft has.
Yeah, I guess it could be some auto remediation. I suppose if someone gets a certain permission, it removes it if they're not in a group or something, maybe. But
yeah, that's just a layer on top of other controls, isn't it? They've already got a control plane for that, haven't they? So, I say sad to see it go. Well, sad to see it not succeed, I think, is probably the because I just remember when that landed, there was some, there was some call outs to its functionality and what it could do, but it just didn't seem to gain traction from what I could see, and that's kind of evident in this update.
Yeah, I wonder if it was too specific of a solution that people didn't have the funding to just do that part of it. It's, I think it's important, but people have got other problems that are probably more, that they can try and fix today with the with the products they got. It's a bit of a weird one, like you said.
I agree. Yeah, and I think outside of like admins and privileged access, I think that is a hard sell, isn't it? When you're talking about like, user user level privileges, not access to groups and resources, etc. Because I think we are seeing a lot of people focused on privileged access, just in time access with PIM and all of that sort of stuff. But to do it across your organization for some random person that's changed their job a few times, and then checking all of that and going into that level of depth, I'm just not sure a lot of organizations are at a place that they can spend the time and focus and energy on that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, let's jump on to another one. So, generally available conditional access re-authentication policy. So, where you want to whenever a session or whenever someone goes to the portal and you want them to re-authenticate, example being VPNs, PIM elevation, that kind of thing, you can effect force re-authentication every time. So that's quite good, especially from the admin role side of things. So yeah, don't think there's anything else in Entra. So I think apart from Intune, let's just take a look at Intune. March, let's just take a look. So endpoint privilege management supports ARM 64-bit now, Windows. So that's good. It's a shame they don't cover other operating systems outside of that at the moment. It's just Windows side of things. There's new settings in the catalog for iOS and iPad OS. Allow Apple Intelligence reporting. Didn't I say these ones last time? No, there must have been some other ones. Yeah.
I can't remember that.
That's right, I could have sworn. I must be deja vuing it. Allow default calling app modification, allow default messaging app modification, allow mail smart replies, allow note transcription, allow Safari summary. So most of them sound very AI related. The Mac OS, remote desktop configuration, and again, the same restrictions around the Apple Intelligence reporting and things like that. New settings for lapse have come in. So automatic account management, enable accounts. So you in effect create the accounts now on the devices. So you can potentially make them not absolutely, but potentially completely random on each device. and then a random password. So you can go all madness in that thing.
You got to really trust the technology at that point, haven't you? Right? Like, there's no going back from that. I'm not criticizing that. It sounds great.
Yeah, I agree with you though. Yeah, you got to test it first.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it from Intune. So that's probably me done on this one. So not too many, but again, Microsoft Secure happened a couple of days ago, or I think it's yesterday or something like that. So there's been a few more announcements in there. So we'll talk about those probably in a couple of weeks' time. So what about you, Sam, and the Azure world?
Okay, so yeah, let's start off with Defender for Cloud. A couple of updates around Kubernetes. So we've now got a GA right at the end of the month, of March, we got a GA for enhanced container protection with vulnerability assessment and malware detection for Azure Kubernetes Service nodes. Is now generally available. So this is actually looking at the nodes, which is like essentially the virtual machine instances that run your pods and run your workloads. So enhanced scanning for vulnerabilities and malware detection on those actual nodes themselves. So that's really good to see because they are essentially virtual machines. So there is now a vulnerability assessment, which is a recommendation in the Azure portal. AKS nodes should have vulnerability findings resolved, like the other vulnerability assessments ones, and you will get security alerts for malware being detected as well. They've also added Kubernetes gated deployment preview. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to block deployments of control deployments of container images that violate your organizational security policies. So if you've got a container that you want to push to a Kubernetes service, and let's say there's vulnerability findings that have been found or security rules that have been breached, you can either audit those events, or you can deny a deployment actually within Defender for Cloud. For Defender for Storage, there is a preview for on-upload malware scanning customizable filters. So users can set exclusion rules for on-upload malware scans based on blob path prefixes, suffix, as well as by blob size. So you can avoid unnecessary scans and reduce costs if you want to say, like, all the blobs in this area I do not wish to scan, or all of these blobs over the certain size or below the certain size, you can exclude them from scanning as well. Agentless scanning for Azure VMs that have customer managed key encrypted disks. It's now generally available that you can run agentless scanning on those VMs. So that's going to make a lot of people pretty happy, I'd say. There is an upcoming change to the recommendation severity levels. Microsoft is introducing a new level, critical. Apparently this is already there. The projected change will take place on March 25th. So it's gone from low, medium, high, and added critical on top. I haven't seen this yet in practice, so it'd be interesting to see what they are marking as critical for recommendations. It's a hotly debated topic in the organization that I work for. I think that's pretty much me for Defender for Cloud. This is right, I've already done this one. Yeah, I've got a couple. Microsoft, if you're listening, the new Azure updates user interface is terrible. Sorry, but I don't like it. It doesn't help me as part of prepping for this because I've got a couple here that have been updated, but I can remember talking to everybody about them. Anyway, okay, so now generally available. So sorry, we've moved on to quotes general Azure. Now generally available vaulted backup support for Azure Files standard shares. So it provides you enhanced data protection. So with the ability to configure snapshots and vaulted backups in a single policy, which essentially it gives you another level of continuity for your backup. So this is really important for ransomware. In creating immutable backups with soft delete functionality, etc., and also forcing long-term retention to meet your compliance and audit requirements. So, really important that has come in, and it was. If you're listening to now that you're listening to this podcast episode, the charges came in on the 1st of April. So if you were testing it, you're going to be charged for it now. Sorry, no, that's another one. Damn it! Sorry. Azure Site Recovery support now has Azure Site Recovery now has support for Azure Trusted Launch VMs running Linux operating systems. So that's really good to see, because Azure Trusted Launch VMs are an important security model that we are promoting and pushing towards. So having Linux OS support is really important there. There's now a public preview for Azure Storage Object Replication Metrics for visibility into replication progress. So you can now see pending operations and the pending bytes, so the amount of data that is pending replication. So you get more visibility of your progress of replicating. A retirement announcement that support, well, it's already ended, too late, sorry guys. Support for Application Insight Status Monitor V1 ended on the 31st of March 2025. It was replaced by V2 in 2019. So you've had a good innings. When was it first added to the? No, it was. I can't see when it was originally announced. Anyway, so this one is Azure SQL updates, the mid-March updates. Backup storage redundancy prices have now been lowered for both point-in-time restore and long-term restore backups. They were effective from November 2020. So point-in-time backup price changes were effective from November 2024, and new lower prices for long-term retention backups are effective from January 2025. I'm not sure why that's popped into my list again. I can't remember announcing it. It would have been ages ago. Good news, now generally available. Azure Chaos Studio is now available in Germany West Central region. So, yeah, get at it, everyone. This was cool. Wow, was this cool? I suppose it was kind of cool. Azure Kubernetes Service, Message of the Day, MOTD, is now generally available on Azure Kubernetes Service. You can pass the Message of the Day flag with the location of the file to replace the message on the day on Linux nodes at cluster creation or node pool creation. So you can leave nice little messages for all your work, your workmates when they log into your Kubernetes nodes. Now generally available, there is a new built-in role for Azure Chaos Studio. I don't know why they don't group these together. Sorry, we're jumping around. The Chaos Studio target contributor can onboard targets and manage capabilities in a Chaos Studio, but cannot create, run, or see details for experiments. That's a very niche role. So, yeah, if you're using Chaos Studio, you can now segregate further. Now generally available, VM hibernation on GPU VMs. I think I spoke about this last time. Maybe it was in private preview and now it's gone GA. I'm sure I've spoken about this. VM hibernation is now generally available for GPU virtual machines, providing a cost-effective way to pause workloads whilst preserving in-memory state. This feature is supported on select sizes in the NVV4 and, oh my god, NVADS A10 V5 VM series and is available on both Linux and Windows operating systems across all public regions. So, yeah, you don't have to deallocate your VMs that have GPUs to them. You can boot yourself back up quicker. Right. So, another retirement, the Azure Storage Data Movement Library is being retired. Version 2 will be retired on March 31st, 2026. I included this one not because I've ever used the Azure Storage Data Movement Library, but I felt that a lot of people might have embedded this in some sort of process that they forgot about a few years ago. So, yeah, if you're using this, there is a migration guide to move to the latest version of the Azure Storage Data Movement Library. Okay, this is quite a big one, I think. Retirement. Docker Compose feature for Azure App Service is to be retired on March 31st, 2027, and it's being replaced by sidecars in Azure App Service. So you won't be able to use the Docker Compose feature in Azure App Service anymore. So that could be quite disruptive. So it's worth having a look at that if you are using that functionality. You do have quite a bit of time. No, I don't really want to say it like that. You've got to start moving.
I was going to say, yeah, it might be you got some time, but it's probably a lot of configuration in YAML files.
When I said it, I was like, actually, you know what? I don't want to promote that. Public preview. Oh yeah, this is quite cool actually. Azure Database for MySQL triggers for Azure Functions. So you can enable change tracking and develop event-driven applications at scale on any MySQL table. So Azure Functions can be invoked when a row in a MySQL table is created, updated, or deleted through the Azure Database for MySQL triggers for Azure Functions. That's quite cool. That would be really good for people that are like hooking into more, let's call them, I don't know, existing or legacy workloads. Maybe you've got a workload that uses a MySQL database, but you want to start using some, no, it's low code, isn't it? Is it low code? No, it's not, is it? Azure Functions. Anyway, you might want to use some serverless PaaS capability. Generally available now on-demand backups for Azure Database for Postgres Flexible Server. So you can now create physical snapshots of Azure Database for Postgres Flexible Server based on your business needs. So yeah, it complements the scheduled automated backups offered by the service, and you can create them and delete on-demand backups as well from the interface. Another, I think, large retirement announcement: support for desired state configuration extension for Azure virtual machines is to be retired on March the 31st, 2028. You please transition to Azure machine configuration by that date. So,
yeah, that probably is a big one. I bet there's a lot of old machines.
Yeah,
using DSC.
Yeah, there is apparently a list of instructions on how to migrate.
Okay.
Back to Azure Chaos Studio, now generally available. Auto tagging of experiment resources for private networking, now available. I don't know what that is, but I just include everything that is Azure Chaos Studio. No, what is it? Data. What is it? Databox. None of that. Unfortunately, we got nothing on that. So I should have left that till the end. But anyway. Right, so there is now a public preview for Azure NetApp Files Flexible Service Level. So the Flexible Service Level allows you to independently configure storage capacity and throughput, so it can optimize costs and performance by right-sizing based on your needs. This new service level avoids over-provisioning by supporting a customizable throughput, which could be up to 5 times that of the Ultra Service Level. So it apparently makes it ideal for demanding workloads like Oracle or SAP HANA. So it allows you to boost essentially even higher. So I don't know these words, but I'm going to say them because they sound cool. So flexible service level is supported with manual quality of service capacity pools, where the throughput can be adjusted between 128 megabytes per second. I'm just going to say meg, up to 640 megabits per second. Oh yeah, say megabits per second per provision terabit. Or terabyte. I'll call it terabyte. A baseline throughput of 128 megabits per second is provided for every port, irrespective of the size, at no additional cost. So, depending on how much data you storage you provision, you get that rolled up. So yeah, that could go like mental, I assume. I don't know but anyway. So yeah, if you need it, it's there. Another retirement. This one's got a long date on it, so it could be important to people. Prepare for the retirement of manually registered Azure VPN clients on March the 31st, 2028. So on March 1st, 2028, Microsoft will be retiring manually registered Azure VPN clients for point-to-site connections with Microsoft Entra ID authentication.
Okay, so forcing you to use the client they've got in effect. I think that's meaning. So
to improve security, we'll only be supporting Microsoft registered VPN clients after that date.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Another retirement. Retirement of virtual machine series D, DS, DV2, DSV2, and LS series machines will be retired on May the 1st, 2028.
Oh wow, okay,
Some time, but the wording is these VMs will no longer be available to be used or purchased after this date.
Yeah, so don't shut them down.
3-year reserved instances for these VMs can no longer be purchased or renewed starting May the 1st, 2025. 1-year reservations for these machines will be available to purchase or renew until 2027, so that makes sense. Last one, a retirement. Upgrade your Entra domain services to TLS 1.2 by August the 31st, 2025.
Okay.
You've been warned. And that's it.
Yeah, definitely a few on the Azure side, a couple on the Defender XDR and that. I mean, admittedly, I didn't touch Purview. Let's have a quick look.
How could you, of all people, forget about Purview, Alan?
It's not the first thing that comes into my mind. I cover it a lot, but it's not my favourite area, personally.
I don't know, Alan. You're pretty good at it.
Okay, let's have a quick look at Purview. Data security posture management for AI. In preview, new recommendations and one-click policy to capture interactions from Microsoft Copilot experiences, which captures prompts and responses for Copilot in Fabric. The first Fabric Copilot support is Defender, or DSPM for AI is Copilot for Power BI. Added classifications to the prerequisites document that the Purview browser extension is required on Windows for the insider risk management policies and the endpoint DLP policies on the Windows when you use Chrome. Yeah, so you still need the what's the extension for Purview or for endpoint DLP at least. Edge can do most of the endpoint DLP side of things, but not from the AI or the data security posture management for AI. It needs that extension adding still. So let's just update the documentation on the clarification of it. There. There's quite a few bits on data governance. So collection limits increased. So data map collection limit has increased from 400 to 1,000. There is one for Snowflake view support for data profiling and data quality scan is now generally available. Table lookup quality rule enhancements enables data quality stewards to compare and confirm that a value in one table can be found in a specific column of another table. And yeah, that's probably it for March. There's a few things in April, but that's for next time. Cool. Okay, I don't think there's anything else, Sam, is there?
No, nothing I can think of off the top of my head. EPM was the big one for me.
Yeah.
That was quite a shock when I read that, to be honest with
you. Yeah, okay. So what's the next episode, Sam?
Right, because, well, what I'm going to suggest is that we do a review of Microsoft Secure next time.
Okay.
I know you said 2 weeks, but it was kind of my plan to run with that next week. But
Okay.
I'm thinking we both review and then we go over it together. How does that sound? Yeah?
Yeah, sounds good.
Because otherwise, I think if we wait, it's going to be a bit
late. Yeah.
It's going to be late, isn't it? So let's do Microsoft Secure next week.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool.
Okay. Did you enjoy this episode? If so, please do consider leaving us a review on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. This really helps us reach out to more people like yourselves. If you have any specific feedback or ideas for our episodes, we have a link in our show notes, or you can put a comment on our episodes on YouTube.
Yeah, and if you made it this far, thanks ever so much for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yep, thanks all.